Our speaker this morning is Martha LaGuardia Kotite. I hope I pronounced that right. She's an award-winning author featured on Fox News, CBS, Fox and Friends, published in the Boston Globe and dozens of magazines, U.S. Coast Guard and IBM spokesperson, quoted by the New York Times and CNN. So definitely it's about like having Rick Chappell here. Our collective IQ went up, or our average IQ went up when we allowed Martha to join our call this morning. So Martha, we'll turn the floor over to you, and we appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you, John. I am delighted to be here with you all. You are such an impressive group of business leaders, and I salute you for continuing to engage and make a difference virtually during this pandemic. So my hat's off to each of you. I am Martha LaGuardia Kotite, and I am an empowerment enthusiast. I help redefine what a person or a business can be and can do. Ever since I lost my older brother to suicide, when I was in high school, I've been motivated to make a difference, empower others, and save lives if I can. And I do this being an author of 5 books, including the award-winning So Others May Live, about Coast Guard rescue swimmers saving lives and defying death, going into extraordinary circumstances like hurricanes and caves and sinking vessels to save a stranger while putting their own life on the line. I do this as a TEDx speaker, an advocate of nature, the oceans, and of life, and I do this talking about suicide prevention. I do this as a proud veteran of the United States Coast Guard, having served my country for over 29 years at sea and ashore. Why is empowerment important for business, for dealing with change, or the storm, this pandemic that we're in now? The data shows us empowerment is essential for a person's vigor toward their work, dedication towards their job, and empowerment leads to personal wellness, satisfaction, and fun. Empowering leaders are more effective at influencing creativity. And now, more than ever, we need to focus on what comes next with a long view. Business will have to be reinvented. Empowering leaders are more likely to be trusted and influence employee performance in a positive way by empowering their people to think outside the box, creatively. My presentations help teams realize their potential, what they can be and can do. I empower people and businesses to redefine themselves, help them weather the storm. One of my presentations is called Leading Your Crew Through Calm and Turbulent Seas. With the COVID pandemic spreading around the world and into our communities and our businesses, we are all in the same storm, just not in the same boat. From my decades of service at sea and ashore, dealing with the aftermaths of hurricanes, oil spills, mass migrations, you name it, I have taken what I've learned on the front lines and infused these lessons into my discussion, along with stories of men and women I have written about. Because we have a very short time together today, I will just highlight some of what I offer in this presentation, which I can share virtually or in person as a breakout or a keynote. When I think of leading through a crisis, I think of opportunity to make a difference. Managing a crisis can be exciting. There's an urgency to find solutions, even save lives. My adrenaline gets going and decisions are quick and based on the information we have before us. But leading through a crisis requires that longer view. This is a marathon, not a sprint. The trap is managing for the present instead of leading for the future. So step 1 is lead for the long run with a long view. Leave the narrow focus, the tactical decisions for those managing the present, those you have trusted and delegated to make tough decisions every day. One of my sea stories, which illustrates this, took place during the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. I worked for Admiral Thad Allen in Washington, D.C., when he was the National Incident Commander. This crisis unfolded quickly at first, and then continued for years. In the beginning, it felt like it would be contained as a fire resulting from an explosion on an oil rig. Our mission? Search, save lives, put the fire out. As we all know now, once the fire was out, the oil was still flowing. It took months to stop the oil from escaping the deep well in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. It took years to mitigate the aftermath, both politically and environmentally, across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. The issues were broad: legal, political fallouts, environmental impacts, and interagency coordination with responders, the responsible party, local and state officials, and businesses. Leadership was needed to focus on the long run, the end game, recovery, by addressing the political implications consuming the federal, state, and local officials. Management was essential for the day-to-day, for the response to the oil spill itself. This combination of leadership and management would work together for months, which became years. The next step for leading in a crisis successfully, step 2, avoid trying to control everything. How many of us do that? I've learned to expect the unexpected every day in a crisis. Things change. Your team needs to pivot and adjust. If there are layers and layers of approvals or processes to get to the action, then the organization, the business, is less responsive and frustration grows. Communication breaks down. Empower your people to manage the day-to-day. Crises are crises because they affect people. The solution is to unite people in beliefs and goals which are clearly communicated. That brings us to step 3, inclusive leadership. Take care of your people. This means developing a common and clear mission that gives people a purpose to work for. Communicate your mission and goals clearly. Show them how they can contribute, make a difference. Empower them. This makes working from home or in a remote virtual world meaningful. Inclusion and empowerment contribute to well-being and hope and fun. There's so much more to share during my full presentation, so let's just recap what we talked about today. How to successfully lead during calm and turbulent seas, and especially a crisis. Step 1, lead for the long run. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Step 2, avoid trying to control everything. Communicate clearly and often. And step 3, inclusive leadership. Take care of your people. Empower them. Successful leaders know that while they are leading for the future, a promising future, their team is effective managing the present, and the two are interdependent, like a Venn diagram, 2 circles that overlap, a leading and a managing circle. And as it unfolds, the event, they separate slightly, but they never fully separate. And both make a difference when it matters the most. Looking back at my decades in the Coast Guard, rising to the senior rank of captain, being a mother and a wife, I faced challenges. I made mistakes, and at times I was afraid. And I learned a lot along the way. I discovered the courage, how to be me, and grew to become an empowering leader to help teams work through events of national significance. Another area I'm passionate about is suicide prevention, and this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. Did you know suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States? For me, it's very personal and has been a lifelong commitment. You see, I lost my older brother to suicide when I was a senior in high school. I learned then how short, how fragile life can be. While in the military, I directed and co-produced a suicide prevention training video used for the Navy and the Coast Guard, partnering with the Chaplain Corps. I also am trained as an assist advocate, helping keep people safe for now that are contemplating it. And I volunteer with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I believe, no, I know that with more awareness of the aftermath, we can prevent many suicides. If suicidal people know of the massive void they leave behind by taking their life, how they change the lives of those that love them, that are friends with them, that community, that business, that family, they wouldn't take their lives. And if they know that it's a temporary situation and that they can get help to see the light, they wouldn't take their life. We need to make these connections, have these conversations, so suicidal people will know they are not alone, that it is a temporary situation. They can get help, and that we appreciate each other because each of us has a place and a purpose in this life. We each are obligated to help each other see the light when all they feel is darkness. We're obligated to help people return to the light and realize their purpose, their value, what they can be and can do. I'd love to talk more about this with your business, your team, with you. We are all in new territory. We are all in the same storm, just in different boats. I believe we can use our collective ingenuity, our compassion for others, our foresight and candor to see us through to safe harbor. Storms come and go. They don't last forever. This is a temporary time, and we can come together in a positive way, even if we don't know what will happen next. With each sunrise, we're given a new horizon, a landscape from which we have the space, the room to carve our own place, to own it, empower each other, ourselves, lifting each other up. I'd like to empower you and your team to redefine what you can be and can do.